Hello everyone, in particular Professor Gabby, because this is who will be grading my podcast video about this mindset of saving the children in the U.S. And possibly in the world. Now, I would like to preface by saying that there is a 40-minute version of this video, and then I realized that I'm not going to cut all that down. And you also probably don't want to read or watch a 40-minute version. So instead, we're going to try to cut this down to 10 minutes. So we're going to kind of speed through this. This is Savion Speaks, by the way. Today I'm going to be talking about saving the children, and this is deriving from the article written by Lee Edelman that is entitled The Future is Kid Stuff, Queer Theory, Disidentification, and the Death Drive. It was written in 1998, and it basically discusses that a lot of ideology and political ideology that's situated around queer rights is heavily embedded with this ideology of America of saving the children, and how this is affecting the queer rights movement. And I decided to take that and to kind of apply to some different political and social ideologies that we're having currently in America right now. Some really hot topics, which include abortion, trans and queer rights still, and then role models, specifically celebrities. So I've done a survey. I've surveyed 100 people. I pushed this out on my personal Snapchat, my personal Instagram, on Side Chat, U Chicago Side Chat specifically, and I DM'd it directly to a few people that I knew on campus. And I've been gathering this data to kind of just see what the thoughts are on if different political and social ideologies are centered around the welfare of children. And I'm not going to discuss all the data here. I will put it in the paper. If you want to read it, comment below and I'll send it to you. But what I'm gathering from the different questions, most of the questions, like I said, I pertained specifically to 3 particular topics, which were abortion, trans and queer rights, and then role models. When it came to whether or not these ideologies were centered around the welfare of children, it's pretty much split throughout the entirety of the survey. Many people, usually the majority, said that, at least slightly or absolutely, that these things, abortion, trans and queer rights, and the role of role models, that one kind of skews a little bit, we'll talk more on that a little later, is due to, or has some sort of element, and they are thinking of children in some way. The welfare of children is important when they have their political or social ideologies, when they believe something. And I don't think I was really surprised by any of the data that I saw, except for the role models. Role models I asked because of something that I recently saw in pop culture. This talk show host, Sherri Shepherd, was criticizing a few women at the Oscars, specifically Megan Thee Stallion, for what she wore, claiming that this was not appropriate because she is a role model, and it's her job to be a role model to young black girls who'd be looking up to her, and that her wearing this attire was not appropriate at all. And so I wanted to throw in that question because that's definitely pertains to gender and sexuality, because that is a display of sexuality, the way in which you present yourself and the way in what body parts are out of your clothes. And so Megan Thee Stallion, to describe, she has on a green dress and her breasts are out, but then she has nipple pasties on. And Sherri Shepherd was just discussing that role models need to be more conscious of, or celebrities, I guess, need to be more conscious of what they wear, because they are role models for young girls. Now, do I disagree with this statement? 100%, because Megan Thee Stallion has never appealed to a young audience. None of her music or her shows, I would say, are appropriate for young girls, which is what Sherri Shepherd said. Now, I'm thinking young girls, I'm thinking 13 and under. There's no way I would let, if I had children, or if I was around children, there's no way I would let them listen to the content that Megan Thee Stallion creates. Or would I let them be in the internet presence where they could see what she's wearing to the Oscars? So there's that. But the role model question specifically was pretty interesting to me, because a majority said no. They do not think that it's the responsibility of celebrities to curate their content to be child friendly. But about 20% also said yes. So I don't think I was expecting about 20 people to say yes, especially considering that about 90% of the respondents were college students. But you get surprised every day. Now, there's a split on there's about a 50-50 split on whether this decision is based off of children or no. So I don't know really what to make of that. Of 50% say, yes, my decision is because of the welfare of children, when 60% say no, they don't think that what celebrities wear and how they act is relevant. That's not the responsibility of them to appeal to other people's children. Now, as far as the other questions go, abortion, trans, and queer rights, there's always a good split, but it's usually about 50% of people who are saying that their decision is impacted by the welfare of children. I think this shocked me the most for abortion rights, but I think I wasn't thinking nuanced enough, because 90% said that they did support abortion rights, but then about 50% said that this decision is impacted by the welfare of the children that are affected. And I guess that I was thinking, okay, if more people support abortion rights and they care more about the life of the mother or other parties involved and not necessarily the fetus or the child. But I think when you think about it a little deeper, then you could think that there are people who support abortion rights, but they support abortion rights for the child because they don't want them to be born into a situation that is not conducive to their health, or they don't want the child to grow up poor in foster care or in an adoption clinic. They're still thinking about the welfare of the child, even though they support abortion rights. And I think that's not something that I even thought about within all this nuance of which groups or which people are thinking about the welfare of the child. And I think welfare of the child, and if you take a deeper look into the data from what I'm going to put in the final paper for all of this, I think that my final conclusion is that there's this focus on the child, despite what side of what party you're on, what side of the line you're on. There's always a focus on the child. And who is the child? I'm not sure. It's the children. It's just the children of the world. So I think that's definitely something to think about. And then something that I wanted to discuss is that there are possible pros and cons for this mindset. I don't think it's all necessarily bad. I'm not saying that this is a bad way to think, but I'm just saying that I don't know if the pros outweigh the con. Now, the pros, I think, is that it helps people cross lines. Okay, since you care about the children, I care about the children, somewhere we can meet in the middle if we're trying to benefit this specific demographic of people. But my problem is I do not think that children are really the focus, because a lot of these issues that we're looking at have nothing to do with children. Now, I'm not saying that queer and trans rights don't have anything to do with children, or abortion, or role models. I'm not saying that none of those have to do with children, but if we look at the hot topics of today, inherently these are not children focused. We've got immigration, climate change, gun control, national parks being unnational anymore, and there's always an argument in there about, well, this is going to affect the children, this is how this affects the children, and it's like, these have nothing to do with children. So why is it that we always take the angle of children? I think it can be used as a manipulative tactic to push political agendas or social agendas as well. Now, that's all. With saying that as well, I think that there are definitely some issues that directly impact children. And when I'm saying this, I'm thinking of Paris is Burning, and I'm thinking of this scene where there are two young men. They're not even men, they're young kids. They're about 13 and 14, and they've ran away. They haven't even ran away from home. They've left their home because their parents have kicked them out because they're gay. And what I think a lot of people are not understanding is that we can use the argument of saving the children all we want, but are we only trying to save the children that fit your narrative? Are we only trying to save white heteronormative children? If the children become trans, gay, black, brown, do they become less worthy of saving? And we can look at this in a large number of different respects. When it comes to queer rights, there are people who say, yes, I want to save my children because I don't want them to be around queer people. But there are queer children, there are trans children, there are black children who have been victims of gun violence, but it does not matter until white schools start being shot up. There are brown children who are trying to immigrate to the United States, but then it's save the children because you don't want your children to be harmed by those immigrating to the United States, but then it's not Save the Children who are trying to immigrate to the United States because they're trying to escape something or they need asylum. So this argument of Save the Children is very, it's inconclusive because it is not awarded the same to all children. And not only is it not awarded the same to all children, frankly, it's false. I do not think that people are really trying to save the children. I think that they are just using children as a mask for what they really want to do, and it just sounds a lot cuter and a lot better when we say save the children instead of just this is what I want, and I'm going to find a way to wiggle children in there to make it sound better. Well, that was a lot for 11 minutes. I cannot believe it took me 40 minutes to say that last time, but I will insert all the data in a paper for you all if you'd like to read it. Comment down below. Professor Gabby, if you see this, I hope you appreciate this 11-minute version because I really was about to take that whole 40-minute version. I was like, there's no way he's watching this. So thank you for this opportunity. And I hope that, you know, comment down below if you have some questions. I'd be happy to answer them after spring break. Thanks, guys. Next time on Savion Speaks.